person talking about love, man, brother is the preacher. And it seems nobody's interested in learning but the teacher.
Hey, Chop Talkers. Fuck! Hi, Talkers. We're here at Savage Gym today. We're going to do another lift rescue on deadlifting. And since I skipped leg day, I'm going to leave it up to these two knuckleheads to get you through hip
hinge.
Hip hinge. Which sounds like nothing I'll ever deal with while benching. So I'm going to leave it up to him.
It's like flaring your elbows, but with your ass.
Oh, that sounds uncomfortable.
Yeah. So we're going to be working on today. We're going to teach Josh how to deadlift. He is not our good friend. He is merely an acquaintance. We're going to be working on how to correct a rounded back while you are deadlifting, particularly on touch and go reps. But also this carries over to how you perform your actual max effort deadlifts as well. So we're going to be working on some deadlifts with Josh today. One of the things that we were noticing as he was lifting earlier is that he has a tendency to round his upper, mid, and lower back as he's lowering the bar. And this is in turn putting a lot of extra stress on the lower back and making it a lot harder for him to lock out the lift. So let's go ahead and hit a set of about 5. That way you can kind of get an idea of what we're looking to fix here. Good. So you go ahead and sit down and kind of keep your position right here. So we're trying to fix, as you can see, he's got this rounding all through the back here. And what that's doing is it's effectively shutting off his ability to use his hips. His hips currently lie. And so that's going to make his lockout, his hips currently lie, they need to be more honest. It's going to make his lockout a lot weaker, make it a lot more difficult to finish the lift, and it makes actual exercise significantly more dangerous. So thank you for doing 5 of those for the sake of education.
All right.
I appreciate it.
I'm glad you guys let me put myself in danger.
What we would like to see instead is that the movement as we're going through range of motion is simply just a hinging here at the hips. And so this is called a hip hinge, Adrian, so you can remember for the future. And that's the main movement pattern that we're using in a conventional deadlift. And this is where we see the most amount of dysfunction in people because a lot of people spend time sitting in desks, the hips get tight, a lot of the muscles that should be working shut off, some of the ones that shouldn't be working as much are working way too much, and we end up having a hard time getting down to the bar in good position because of lack of flexibility in through the hamstrings or several other different movement dysfunctions. So our goal today is to get Josh to a position where he can sit back to get down to the bar, keep it in close to the body, and just have that movement be a simple hinging pattern at the hips. So how we're going to go about doing that, I've got a band rigged up over here. What we're going to do is use a little bit of distraction. This is a technique called RNT, reactive neuromuscular training. We're using the band as a form of external feedback for where the hips need to be throughout the range of motion. So this does 2 things. One, when we're performing the lift, if you don't have good positioning, you're going to fall over backwards. And so this forces you to learn how to counterbalance your weight over your base of support or your midline of gravity. The other thing that it does is as you're performing the lift, it gives you resistance forward and helps remind you to fire the hips through to lock out instead of rounding the lower back. So what this is going to do is it's going to give Josh some external feedback for where he should be in space and where his strength should be in the lift. So we're going to set this up on him and we're going to see what improvements we can make in his form. Just right around him. I kind of walk forward to a little more. We're going to have a good amount of tension on there. It's not a super strong band. It won't break. Hopefully.
It'd be awesome if it did.
I wasn't nervous about it breaking until you said that.
No, it's fine. It's from Fred Myers, so it's legit.
Oh, I see it ripping.
I sit back.
Yep. So you want to bring the bar in close to your shins. Go ahead and Okay, so that's come down slow and stick your ass out like you're getting paid for it. Chest stays up high. Push your butt down a little bit. Chest up. Bar in close to the shins. And bring your knees a little bit more straight up. Right there. Push through, hips through. Down slowly. Sit back, ass back, ass back. Ass back, ass back. Good, back. Drive up. Good. Down again, we're going 2 more. Back, back, back. Drive up. Good, 1 more. Sit back. Hips through. Good, down. Very good. So not perfect, but definitely better. What do you feel that's different?
It takes me a minute to get used to getting the ass back. I have the fat butt disease that you talk about, is sitting too much. So that was a little, just took me a minute, but it took a lot of pressure off up here.
Good.
By being able to keep that straighter
And then
out the round. The coming down wasn't a chore. Before, I felt like my background, I was feeling everything right here.
Yeah.
That last bit. Coming back down, I felt it in the legs.
Good.
I felt the transition of it made it smoother.
So let's go same thing again. We'll go another set of 5. This time what I want you to do, because you are starting to get some improvement in how you're tracking the hips, is instead of thinking of lowering the bar down and sticking your butt back, literally just keep pushing the butt back and let the band take your hips backwards. Once you get to the knees, sink straight down. So our goal is to keep the bar pretty much in contact with the shins the entire time, but you've got that pulling of the hips to kind of help you remember that. So we don't ever want to get into a position where our knees are drastically over the bar, because if we're just trying to lift here, the bar has to come up and out to get around the knees, right? So get the shins pretty much straight up and down like this, and that band is going to help teach you to get comfortable into that position there. If you think about, since you used to do sports, right? If you think about where you would jump from, if you're doing long jumps or like bounding, that comes from that hip explosion coming through. It's the same stance that we want to be in almost with our deadlift, right?
Like that?
Yep. So it's back and then you jump.
Okay.
That's where we want to be. Good. So bring the bar in, touching with the shins, just as a point of reference. Good. Tight. Sit back. Back. Good. Push the chest out. Slow. Slow. Got the hips there. Good. There we go. Much better. Sit back. Slow. Got the hips there. Good. We'll go 2 more. Sit back. Good. 1 more. Sit back. Keep this tight. Good. Done. Way better.
Coming up was super easy.
Good.
Firing through. That weight was nothing, it felt like.
Perfect.
The same thing on coming back down, everything was more in control. The jumping thing really stuck with me. That was a good one.
Good.
That got me to really focus on the bend, the hinge, and not the drop.
Yep.
So.
And that's one of the things that I see people screw up the most with their deadlift, especially for people that use a touch and go rep. They don't pay very much attention to how they're lowering the bar. What ends up happening is you get lowered into a suboptimal position when the first one was perfect, right? And they're like, oh God, I'm finally done. And now we're in the worst possible pulling position. So you can imagine that as your reps go on, right, they get uglier and harder to lock out. So what we use this for is for kind of teaching where that pattern should be. And then over time, just by keeping that controlled, you can make your reps very mechanical.
Anytime I felt like too where I was getting sloppy, that worked great to just, then I kind of did the focus, oh remember, something's pulling you back for a reason.
Exactly.
So then to let that go. Yeah, no, I really like that, that's a good one.
So this would be, and kind of how we would program this for someone like you, this would be a variation that we would use just to kind of get you familiar with that pattern. You may even just leave a band on for the first few weeks of deadlifting until you can really get a feel for where that needs to be. This will also help to address some of the tightness in through the hamstrings. So by getting to train through a full range of motion with a good movement pattern, we'll start to break up some of those bad tight patterns in through the hips. So
I'm gonna keep that going. Magic Mike, I'm coming for you.
America.